Now, responsible for the Millennium series of books, Stieg Larsson was one of the best-selling authors of recent times.
He wrote the novels The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, read by so many of you who'd be watching this morning. Now his longtime partner Eva Gabrielsson has written a book about her relationship with Stieg Larsson, and she joins us now. Eva Gabrielsson, good morning.
Good morning.
Your book is called Steig and Me, and just off air we were just chatting. I said it was a difficult book to read, even though it's a lovely book to read. But you immediately contradicted me and said, no, it has a really positive message. It's got a positive centre to it.
It is. I think it's sort of an upbeat book anyway. At least for me, how life was, and that's how I remember it. The aftermath is ugly, but that's not really what rests in you.
We'll get to the aftermath in time, but let's start at the beginning. You met while very young, both of you, in the early 70s as young political activists. Was the attraction immediate?
No, but the interest was immediate because he was kind of different and I was kind of different. We weren't sort of in there because of political motives. I mean, it wasn't the trend. It was the trendy thing to do, but we were there for personal reasons. We were extremely angry, and that differed us from.
He always saw himself as a novelist. He made several attempts, I suppose, as most novelists do, to get published. It was a long road, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wrote even when I met him when he was in his 20s and so on, and I'm happy that nothing came out of that.
Really? They were that bad?
Really bad, yeah.
The early attempts. But but his novels really, I guess, tell the real life, if you like, of his passionate journalism. And they parallel, of course, Expo magazine, which he was involved with. Tell us a little bit about that.
Expo was the Swedish version of the British magazine Searchlight, and he worked for Searchlight for 1983, so Expo came 12 years later on. And that was his passion to investigate the extreme right-wingers in Sweden and in Europe as well. So that's how Expo came about. And it was personal as well, not mainly political.
It was a lifelong campaign against the neo-fascist movement.
Yeah.
Why does it seem to be so popular in a lot of the Scandinavian countries like Sweden? So entrenched, so popular. We know about movements in, say, Eastern Europe and certainly in the UK, but there does seem to be a body of people who support or who subscribe to that theory or that tendency in places like Sweden. Do you have any thoughts about why that might be?
The historical researchers I talk to, they have no really good explanation except for the one that I think is the true one, is that Sweden escaped being invaded by Nazi Germany because we were so-called neutral, and that made Sweden a haven for Nazis at the time, and the Swedish Nazis also took care of the German and Balkan colleagues, so to say, after the war, and organized escape routes for them, and nobody was ever put to trial like they were in Denmark and Norway. So I think that's why things have stayed.
So when Stieg started writing about what he did, and with this extraordinary central character of his, and her vigilante view of the world, but also this real focus on men's violent hatred, some men's violent hatred towards women, were there those around him, perhaps you or others, who looked at this and thought and said to him, Stieg, where is this coming from? Why such a strong passion about this?
Well, he didn't really talk about his writing to that many people. I mean, I saw when it started as a spontaneous thing out of boredom in 2002 in our summer vacation. So I know where it started and how it continued and so on, but he didn't really talk about it. He was just happily enjoying himself.
Are you surprised at how wildly popular the Millennium books have become after Stieg's death?
Extremely surprised. I thought it was too ethnic, too local, that the books would have success where Swedish crime novels usually are successful, and that is in Scandinavia and Germany, and that's it. Now we have the global success, and totally unexpected. But I think the books say something about people's irritation and frustration over the state of things in their own countries, so they recognize this theme, fighting against violence against women, fighting against corruption, fighting for good journalism. You had the Murdoch story on here earlier on and so on. So I think it's a general global recognition, and Stieg would have been very happy.
We have lots of Stieg Larsson fans begging almost for a fourth novel now. Is there at least the start of a novel on Stieg's laptop computer?
There is a start of one. It probably isn't a continuous story. I think it's 200 pages or something like that. I knew it was 100 and around 150 in late August, the year he died, and he died 2 months later on. So I don't think it could be more than 200.
But the question now, of course, is who has the rights over that and the rights to publish it, because you weren't married in a traditional sense, but were long-term partners. You're not recognised in law, and this left you in a really difficult and very painful position after he died. Tell us a little bit about that. What standing or status did you have in relation to him, his will, his legacy once he died?
Turned out absolutely nothing. So and cohabitants like me, we can't even go to a court to get a sort of make a court decide on if this is a reasonable outcome or not. So on the other hand, it's not a murder case, so there are cohabitants who've been in my situation who the family just respected them as the true partner and nothing happened to them. So.
But that didn't happen in your case?
No.
The family excluded you?
Yeah.
Is this something that you're still fighting against? I know that there were those who tried to put together a fighting fund to help you do exactly that.
Yeah, I'm still working on it, and I'm also trying to change the law.
And does it look like the law might be changed in Sweden? Because here in Australia, for example, de factos are recognised pretty much as one and the same, as a married person. Is there any chance Sweden will get to that place?
Well, I hope so, because this is so counterproductive for everyone, for the individuals and for society. If you don't recognise the individual's role in developing things, you can't just hand over intellectual property and innovations like which are the new businesses now. You can't hand them over to family like it was an addition to their flock of sheep or something.
Eva Gabrielsson, really good to talk to you this morning. Great to meet you, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.